Hey everyone, and welcome to my budget guide video about the Fairy Druid. The build is capable of farming players 3 to 5 within reason. The gear progression is very fun. It's a very good season starter as well, even though the setup focuses more on, let's say, when you level your character up with, say, like the wind skills, and you want to be around level 70 or something, want to farm keys and want to eventually do Ubers, like this is the budget spec I would recommend to you. With that being said, let's get into the gear. This web is just insane. At the very beginning of a season, it's a little bit expensive though. Try to get a, try to purposely trade for a low roll, because it's always a 33% chance to cast the Grapify, right? So it doesn't really matter. If you don't have access to a Reaper's Toll, because you don't trade or whatever, there's another very good budget alternative. It's called, it's the rumored Obidience. I don't know what would be the best base for this. Probably a Great Poleaxe. Not too sure though. Have it in a Thresher, works just fine. Yeah. Like this and Reaper's Toll is almost on the same level, I'd say. So yeah, if you cannot trade for Reaper's Toll because it's like very early in the season, Reaper's Toll might be cost an Ist rune, but yeah, you can get up those runes fairly easy, right? Ko, Fall, like that's like nothing. You can farm this up in Nightmare actually. So use Obidience when you don't have Reaper's Toll. Yalas, basically like a Shaco, but for the Druid only, with a 59 Ist rune. Angelic combo, this time twice. So yes, I get actually twice the set bonus. What cannot be frozen, the belt from this low level set. Combination with the gloves for attack speed and life leech. Honestly, it might be even easier just to get laying of hands and a Nosferatu's belt instead of the set. So yeah, don't focus too much on the set, man. Those are also like budget items, I'd say, or rather sooner or later, like this build is also good for doing Trav. Sooner or later you find like those gloves in TRAVINCAL, 100%. So yeah, either those two. You have also 30 IS and life leech. Okay. But at this point, if you wanted to go that upgrade route, get a Ravenfrost, of course, instead of Angelic Ring. Or just use some crafted ones. Just some random crafted. I think it's the blood recipe. Yeah, attack speed, 1% life leech. Good gloves. Boots, Goblin Toad for a little bit of crushing blow. And on my swap, a random shield and hustle. So we go into wolf form, right? Maybe go into an area where it's a little bit easier or however, and I'm gonna buff this up. I hit them a few times with Fury, and the burst of speed is going. Then I swap back to my main setup. I have a torch. I mean, Druid torch is the worst out of all. Like, for me, who does a lot of Ubers, I never want to see a Druid torch actually. So, yeah, it's even worse than the Barb torch, I say. So in terms of trading, this costs like nothing. A core rune maybe. Maybe not particular roll like this, but just a random Druid torch is like nothing, so. Maybe I'll show you the stats real quick. There's no open wounds in this build, which is kind of bad. But this build is still able to kill Declone. Not the real Ubers with this setup, but Declone. Yeah, the Venom proc on the armor helps a little bit. So yeah, that's the stats. So I max out those two, like the shapeshift thingies. If you wanted to go a hybrid route, that's where you put points out. I think people max only one, either or. I don't know which one actually. I think people put only 1 point in here and max out this. So you have 20 points remaining to spec into the minions if you want. But yeah, I spec the following. Max this, max the werewolf form, max fury, 1 point in rabies. Then, while I was leveling, I had 1 point in feral rage. Then I put more points into Heart of the Wolverine. Max this eventually. Can use it or not. The good thing is, in Resurrected they changed it. So you can cast spells in the shapeshift form. And all the remaining points into Feral Rage. I will max this out eventually with a higher level. Yeah, eventually this will be maxed out. But it's the last skill I max, okay? So that's the skill tree. I would swap to my Hustle. Get the Life Leech buff up. The Fury Druid, or Feral Rage Druid, whatever, is like the build in the game which can reach the highest percent of Life Leech. You can easily get 100% Life Leech with this build with upgrades. So now I have Burst of Speed. Now I swap back to my main setup. Look at the Life Leech, man. 83% without expensive gear. This buff lasts for 20 seconds. So every 20 seconds you gotta hit a monster once and you will never run out of this buff. It gives run walk and a ridiculous amount of Life Leech. Yeah, and then just use Fury. Here's the damage with Obidience real quick. So using Obidience instead of Reaper's Toll. $40,000 attack rating because of dual Angelic and the Fire Enchant proc. So yeah. Of course, since it's a budget build, it's more suited for players 1 content. But as you can see, like, that's the champion pack right there. As soon as they have the Cripify on them, they just melt. So yeah, let's say if you would do like Ubers, right? Like you have Uber Mephisto and he spawns a bunch of Skellies. Then you would hit all the Skellies and maybe one hit hits Mephisto. Skelly, 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 Mephisto. So that's kind of, it's whatever, right? It's like Frenzy from the Barbarian. Yeah. You don't need a mercenary at all with this type of setup. This is capable of players 1 farming like every content except the real Ubers, which drop the torch, I'd say. This setup. Yeah, since I use this build for farming keys, I want to run even faster, right? And also, like I have no run walk on the boots, using the Act 1 mercenary with Harmony Bow, like it just because it's so good. Of course, if you use Act 2 Merc, there's more damage from the Might Aura. Also, I think the absolute best setup would be like the Act 2 Merc with a Hustle and a pole arm. But yeah, that's totally up to you, right? I was messing around with the Act 5 Merc as well. I gave Hustle the Act 5 Merc. It's a very good entry point into the game in general, because like the Druid is a class who can solo the game completely. Not with this spec, but the Druid is a good class for that in general. And you get up like the real cheap gear. Yeah, and then get some upgrades like Gore Rider and stuff. In terms of weapon choices, like the Druid is a whole science on its own in this game, especially the shapeshift skills. Which base, which rune word, IS on the weapon, whatever. Like, it's kind of crazy though. So, as I mentioned, the build is really good for farming keys. And early in the season, well, actually, it doesn't even matter. People buy key sets even at the end of a season. But yeah, I can sell a key set, or I usually did trade key sets for like a Vex rune. So I sell them for a Vex rune. And there's a rune word called Breath of the Dying. I made this in a Great Poleaxe, an ethereal one. This boosts, as soon as I equip this weapon, it's over with. Like, it's completely over with. Just wanted to mention this real short, but this is a budget build, right? But yeah. Maybe I farm up keys with the Obidience. Or a Reaper's Toll. This rune word costs a Vex and a Zot. A Zot is around 1 high rune in terms of trading. A Vex is a half one. Yeah, long story short. Farm up keys with the cheap set. If you no-life it, you have it in 3 days. If you play casually, you have it in 1 to 2 weeks. So you farm up a key set, sell it for a Vex rune. Then you need like 2 or 3 more key sets. You sell those as well. Like you can, with a build like this, running fast as fuck, and especially suited like against like bosses and stuff with the Crepify and so on. You can easily farm up 1 or 2 key sets per day. Okay. So yeah, farming 2 or 3 key sets or 4 key sets, selling them, trading them for runes. Trade like a few Vex for a Zod, and you have it. There's a weapon. That's your endgame weapon right there. Like the base costs nothing. Since you just trade for a plain one and give it to Larzuk, there you have 6 sockets. Yeah, that would be like gear progression, like super fast, right? You start a Druid. Start a Druid maybe just with the caster spec, right? Super cheesy, give him 1 spirit, you can basically beat the game. As soon as you can afford it, you make like a setup like this. To farm up the keys, sell 3 to 4 key sets, make an endgame weapon. Check this, very off meta. When have you seen the last Fury Druid in your lobby when you made bar runs? There it is, guys. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and I catch you next one. Later.